discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, this video is brought to you by Audible. Audible is offering you a free audiobook with a 30-day free trial membership. All you need to do is go to audibletrial.com/BGUnlocked. The link is in the description below, and now enjoy the video. Hey everyone, welcome to the discussion for Anachrony, the solo variant, and including the Doomsday module. So, a while back, we actually did a run-through for Anachrony, and did a discussion for that, so if you want to know how we think of the game multiplayer, definitely go check out those videos. So I'm just going to be discussing my thoughts on the solo variant and the Doomsday module. So, let's start with the Doomsday module. I like it in theory. Well, I shouldn't say in theory. The Doomsday module is very interesting and actually gives like a pretty cool thematic tension between the different players. Because what you're doing with that, you're essentially controlling or trying to control when the impact happens. So there's actually a lot of strategy to that. Whenever the game kind of kicks off and goes into high gear, it's whenever the impact hits. Because for the first four, well, it actually starts in between the 5th and 6th era. But even for the first 4 eras, you're starting to get your faction going. You're starting to buy buildings, and you're starting to get workers to be able to do things and get those buildings, build super projects and all that, which kind of kick off an engine that you're trying to build. Whenever the impact happens, then it becomes a free-for-all where people are trying to do those actions to get the extra bonuses, and they're also making sure that they meet their path impact condition to be able to go and be the first one there, to not get that -3, and just try and be the best one by the end of it. So whenever you are finishing experiments, whenever you are going to the Doomsday thing and actually finishing experiments, which is also, they're easier to get. Like, super projects are not difficult, really, by any means. They just take a little extra planning and resources. It's like, do you want to build a super project, or do you want to build a factory or a power plant or anything like that? Because they take up 2 spots, and you just have to be very, very careful with where you place them. So, with the experiments, you just have to meet a requirement and pay a smaller cost to get some points, at least 2 points, and maybe potentially a place that you can go. And then hell, even once the level 2s come out, they require a little bit more, but they're even more points, so they're easier to get. But the thing really isn't the experiments, it's dictating where you're on the track. And depending on who you are, like, so the Path of Progress and then like the other one, I don't remember the faction names, they do want the impact to hit. And it's really cool because as soon as that meter hits the bottom, whoever moved it up will get those points, and then immediately the impact happens. Boom, that's what's going on. If the Save the Earth ever goes up, then, well, it's harder to go up there, but you get more of a reward. So the other 2 factions want it to go up, but they don't get as many points, and it takes them longer to get there. But once that happens, boom, Earth is saved, the asteroid actually doesn't hit, and now you immediately go to endgame, like endgame scoring, which is also really cool. So there's a tension and almost a race between the factions trying to make something happen, but it's also not, okay, well, no, it's not in a 4-player game, it's not us versus you, because the 2 factions still want to go after experiments, and they want to be able to get the extra bonus points by going in the direction that they kind of, it's almost semi-cooperative, but not really. Then, what's really cool is you roll these 2 dice, and depending on where the meters are at, this is why I don't think it's good in a solo game. So let's say that Save the Earth was up 3 spots, and then the Fuck Over the Earth was 2 spots down. So the Save the Earth gives it a plus, an extra plus, and then the Hurt the Earth is a minus. So then you roll, and it's like, oh, well, there's a blank and a minus, plus another minus, means there's 2 minuses and only 1 plus. That means that now the impact is going forward in the timeline because you're accelerating it. So that's definitely a lot of strategy, because depending on where everyone's at in the era, that could, boom, impact is happening now, that's that. Or if more pluses, then it's like if the impact was going to happen, now it's later, so now people have more chances to do what they need to do. I really like that. I think that's cool. In a solo game, I don't really like it, because it's just me moving it in the direction of the path I happen to have. Hell, I don't even know if this can be used in solo. The rules don't say. I played with it anyway because I was like, okay, this is a solo game. The Chrono is usually difficult and they just get to do stuff for free, so I'm going to need everything that I got. Still, it didn't help. I lost by 1 point, which is actually a lot less than I thought it was going to be. But in a multiplayer game, the Doomsday module is going to be really cool, so I do like it. Now, the solo mode, the Chronobot variant, I think is fantastic. First of all, spoiler for the discussion, definitely still go check out our thoughts on Anachrony, but I think Anachrony is fantastic. This solo variant is really, really cool and innovative because whenever a lot of solo games are happening, I'm keeping my arms down just because so I look like weird, just because there's so much here. Whenever there's a lot of solo games with an AI that they just kind of do stuff and they just like, okay, well, like they get to do, and he gets to do stuff for free too because he doesn't have to worry about workers, he doesn't have to worry about, paying cost or anything like that. But what makes him interesting and feel more like another player than anything else is the fact that it's this die, and it's where these tokens are, because they start off in a specific spot on the board. And whenever he starts out first, he rolls his die, and wherever his number is at, that's the action he does. So you actually can look at his board and be like, okay, so what should I try to do before he does? Should I try to, okay, I really want to build that building, but how urgent do I need to do it? Is that the first thing I need to do? You look at his board, you're like, okay, so if he rolls this, then he could potentially take that from me. Which is very interesting because he has a 1 in 6 chance of getting, that result. So it's not as it's not as difficult. It's not like they're constantly just going to be like just getting victory point after victory point after victory point, and you're just like, well, I'm going to have to work twice as hard to even compare. Never once did I feel like I was behind him the entire time. Now, whenever he kept gaining water, and there were times whenever it's like, well, if he can't do something, he gets a point and 2 water. That's way better, because he doesn't get points at the end of the game for water. It just allows him to, if his meter moves up on the track, then he could potentially have to spend water, and then he moves up on his morale, or if he goes up, he could remove his warp tiles to be able to move up on the timeline track. But that's still also really cool because he doesn't just get to do that. He has to have his token on the right spot, roll that number, and then do that action. I think that's fantastic. Like it's such a breath of fresh air. And even what I thought was going to be even more broken was the fact if he recruits a lot, then if he gets 1 of each, then he just removes 1 of each and gets 5 points. That happened once. And you can actually even hinder them. You can look and be like, oh, he needs a gold. Okay, well, if I go first, then I'll grab the gold. So if he even does roll that, he won't get it. I think that's great. And even whenever he was just taking buildings, the great thing about this game is also limits him to the buildings he can take. He can't ever have more than 3 buildings of each type. So at the beginning, he happened to just keep getting the water one, so then whenever he rolled that, yeah, he was getting a point and some water for it, but I could look and be like, oh, he will never take those, so I get to look and be like, okay, so I'm going to get those. Whichever ones I want, I can go after. And it makes sense, too, because you as a player can only have 3 of each. So it'd be stupid if he could have more than 3 and then just, oh, yeah, I have the whole stack, okay, that's 50 points. It was just nice. Even whenever I was looking at it and I was adding up his points, I was like, oh man, he's going to blow me, he's going to kick my ass. No, I lost by 1 point, which sucks, but it was still nice. I really, really like this solo variant. It's neat, it feels like a player. He's not broken, where his actions are dictated by what you happen to roll, and that's what moves on. They have their own track that they move on, so they'll gain water and then gain a point or a super project. And what's cool is the super project one, it doesn't happen until the impact, so he doesn't you have at least 4 rounds to be able to build at least some super projects before he just starts taking them. Granted, he just gets to take them and he doesn't have to spend for them, but at least you have time to get the ones that you want, potentially, before he does. And then once again, even then, it all depends on where he's at. Like, I was able to get everything I wanted. Like, in terms of building. I was able to get the people I wanted, and even whenever he is building and taking tiles, and if he can't do it, he still places his worker there to block you, it's not the end of the world. Like, that's one of the things that's great about Anachrony, is that you always have options. It's like, okay, well, I kind of wanted to construct, but there's still multiple spots I can go. I'm just going to have to pay some water. And if you can get some hydro plants and enable yourself to get water, then you're never really hurting. Yeah, this Chronobot solo variant is just fantastic. And the cool thing is, now, the only complaint I really have is that he places his things on the timeline track by the paradox that you roll, and that's, okay, he's placing 2. And with the alternate timeline, depending on, you could also strategically think, well, I go first, so we place in turn order, so let's see, where are we at here? Oh, these are victory point ones. Oh, well, okay, well, I'll go first, and I'll place those there. And then he'll place his, depending on how many he does. I get that he doesn't lose points for that, just because he'd be too easy. Like, if, like, for example, because he can place 1 or 2, depending on the roll die, or the result on the die, and he removes them based on where the number 1, token is at, I get that, because he could easily always roll 2s and then only ever remove a few of them. So if he's losing 2 points, like he would have lost 8 points. I get that. So it's not that big of a deal, because he would always be losing points just because of the sheer amount of tokens he could place. I actually really liked him with the alternate timeline, because in the other one you just have the regular, just the blank side, but actually having to place them in a certain way depending on turn order was really interesting depending on which tile was out. So it's like, for example, I would like to move my morale track up, so I will actually go there because I'm first player, so I get to go first, then he's going to place his one. And in this game, he doesn't ever get anything that's printed on the board, so he doesn't have to pay the cost, but he also doesn't get the bonus. I like that. Like, at least he doesn't get the bonus. Like, it'd be nice if he had to pay, but I don't really see it as that much of a problem, just because the payment is only ever really water. And with the alternate timeline, yeah, he could have had to move down on the morale track or something like that, but just because it's random on what he pays, it actually doesn't bother me that much. I'm blown away by how good this is. It's been a while since I played him. Or so, not since I played him, since I've had Anachrony, and I was like, okay, well, yeah, I'll try the solo variant. And reading about him, I was like, oh, okay, well, that's interesting. So the die result, but then actually playing against him, super cool. Like, I really liked him. So, let's see. I did the alternate timeline. Like I said, I really like that. Adds a little bit more depth. I don't think I would ever not play with it, just because I really like how you have to think about, okay, do I want to spend 1? Well, I'm going first, and there's actually a negative there, but if I place 2, I'll get the negative, and there's a positive there. Or, I'm going second, and is he going to place any? So, it's pretty neat. Yeah, like, the experiments are okay. Like I said, I do like the Doomsday. I like the Doomsday track more so for the actual tension of moving the Save the Earth or Seal the Fate markers more so than the actual experiments. If they did something, it'd be a little bit different. And maybe they do. Like, let's see. No, not really. Like, a lot of them just have like these don't. Like this one, if you have a fortunate accident, if you have a super project, then you have to spend a genius to get the 3 points. But then you move it up and you'll get an extra amount of points. irrigation system, you have to have 10 water, you have to then spend 4 water to get 3 points. So all the level 2s are worth 3 points, and then the cast system. Now, what I actually probably would have liked better with the Doomsday module is kind of like a Twilight Struggle kind of thing, because theoretically, yes, there's 2 factions that are moving it up and then 2 factions that are moving it down, so it's whoever can do it quicker. But I would have really liked actually just 1 marker, because since you are fighting against each other, it doesn't really make sense that, oh, if they do something good and we do something bad, that we're both doing both. Like, it would make sense if they offset each other. So if there was 1 tracker and it's like, oh, we did something good, so we're going to move it up, and then you do something bad, so you're going to move that same tracker down, then to whoever, you're kind of even in more tension, just moving it up and down to okay, well now we actually ended up doing more experiments as a good side, so now that's further up, and we hit our milestone, therefore that, boom, game end, that's it, versus, okay, well we are trying to compete and move it down, so now, okay, now the impact is happening. I think I would have liked that a lot better than just the 2 markers simultaneously, or not like both going up or down, just together, you know? But I mean, other than that, it's still not bad. Like, so on a scale of 1 to 10, for the Doomsday module, I think I'm going to give it a 6. Like, just because I do like it, I like that tension, but I don't think it's really absolutely necessary. Just because the what you have to meet and what you have to cost is not really necessarily worth the 2 points or the 3 points, and moving that track up. Even though I do like the idea of the track, the alternate timeline I'm gonna give a 8. I really like that as an alternate variant, and the Chrono bot variant, the solo mode, I'll give it a 9. I really like him. I think that this is a really, really good solo variant, and I can imagine it only even be better without that the Doomsday module. So that's it. That's my thoughts on Anachrony, the solo variant, and some of the other variants, Doomsday module and the alternate timeline. Let me know what you think of Anachrony, the solo variant, or hell, even just Anachrony by itself in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching this, and if you like this video, then click the subscribe button below to enjoy any video that I put out. And right next to that subscribe button is a little bell. Click that so you get notified of whenever I actually upload these videos. If you want to support the channel, you can definitely visit my Patreon page. The link is in the description below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.